All right, we are back. Just like that. Now, I enjoyed last night's card. I don't know about anybody else. I enjoyed it. I did not think that the females stunk up the card. I was nervous because they kicked off the card. Right away, my hopes was low when I saw it. When I saw these two as the opener, I didn't know them. I did not bother to find out. I just saw it and I said, well, it looks like a bad night for WMMA. And I'm like, or aside from the Mora Gomez fight, which was highly anticipated, at least for me. But I thought, if you got an opening fight and it's a dud, that'll set a bad tone. So my expectations were low. They were not high. So I was surprised. I was satisfied with the first fight. I thought it was a gritty fight. And, the Indian fighter who won, and I'm calling her the Indian fighter because UFC made a point to highlight her Indian background on their platform, which is what I follow for the most part to get a feel of what the people think, the average citizen or the average viewer. They highlighted it and they pointed out she was the first Indian fighter to earn a victory in the UFC. She got a large following too. Well, anyway, she was fast, had real good kicks, moved. She had good speed. Early in fights, she looks very good to me, especially as a southpaw, because her head kicks get to the target fast, like really fast. And so does everything else. She got pretty good speed overall. And plus, like I said, she's a southpaw. As a southpaw too, she got pretty good straight left hand. Pretty good straight left hand. So I thought she showed some good tools, but her opponent kept marching her down. And that made the fight nasty for her. Rough and tumble. Her opponent was willing to, take some lumps and march her down all night. So it made it a rough night for the newcomer, who is said to have made history in the UFC. Made history. But I thought her opponent won the fight. But I'm telling you, in real time, I laughed. I laughed and rewinded it. I couldn't even continue watching it live after that. When she did that, well, I can't show it, they get on me about that. So I won't show the actual video. But the stills are good enough because you can see all these expressions in real time. And I saw, this is like the funniest face I ever seen in my life in the cage. Anybody make, probably male or female. And what made it so funny is the fact that, she had just taken a few good shots. This was the third round. And she had just taken a few real good shots by her opponent. And she was sort of fading. Right at that moment, it looked like she was fading from the shots. Her opponent was landing flush shots to her face. And she was running. Basically running for her life. She was running for dear life and getting punched in the face anytime they had an exchange. And it's like, oh, you know, the Indian newcomer who Dana had high hopes for, she's about to get knocked out. And it was like as if Tomar, that's her name, Tomar, as if she felt herself about to get knocked out too, and she refused it. She refused to go. And you could see that's the look she had on her face. Like, no, I'm not about to get knocked out. She threw one punch after getting clobbered. You know, she was getting clobbered. And she finally mustered up the strength to throw one big punch, and then she made this face right after. Like, no, I'm not going to get knocked out in my UFC debut. Indian fighters are not losers. You know, there's this thing in MMA that MMA fighters are losers. You know, they're not good fighters. You know, they're not world class fighters. I guess they've had Indian fighters in the past, but they never even so much as won a fight. So even though they were acknowledging her for something historic, it was also kind of embarrassing, you know? Kind of shameful. Yes, it's cool to be acknowledged as the first to do something, I guess. But for it to be something like that, hey, you're the first Indian fighter to get a victory. So she felt it was proper to get on the mic and say, hey, we're not losers. Okay, all right, sweetheart, but this. Let's talk about this. And she was on shaky legs at the moment. She was on shaky legs at that moment. Her opponent, who I thought won, was drilling her. She was drilling her. She had enough. The tall girl, she had enough. This small chick bouncing around. You know, she thinks she cute. I'm about to go bash her up. See what she got, walk through her little punches and bust her up. And she started nailing Tomar. And Tomar stumbled like Rocky. It was like something out of a movie. And then she threw a punch. And then she, come on. And made that face. And she got hit again. Oh, God. I swear women are hilarious sometimes when they fight. Now, some of their fights are boring, but man, when it gets funny, it get real funny. Right? But like I said, I thought her opponent actually won the fight, but they're pretty much even from what I see. Evenly tiered. I don't know if she actually used to fight at atomweight. Her opponent used to fight at atomweight. Now, her opponent looked small, you know. I thought she was pretty undersized, but her opponent's just wide. Her weight is distributed differently. She grows side to side rather than up. But no, I don't see really any championship or threat to the title. This is strawweight, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me see. I think I still have it up here. Strawweight. 115. Now, seriously. Now, who knows, man? You put her in there with Weili, she probably clobber Weili a few times. That's all it take. Hey, look at those kicks. I don't put nothing really past the women. A lot of those fighters that are new and ranked low, they probably smack some of these girls around, ranked high in the division. I have a strong feeling they would. I'd say that most likely they would. And that right now, some of these fighters who've made it their debut or had one fight, not ranked yet, they could probably beat some of the high-ranked fighters, maybe even the champion. Yeah, I'm saying that. I don't think there's too much that separates the vast majority of these fighters, the female fighters. Very few of them separate themselves from the pack as far as being an elite fighter, like Shevchenko did for a stretch. She pulled it off for a stretch. Joanna did it for a little stretch. Ronda Rousey did it for a small stretch. You know, fighters like that you can usually predict, and I don't see that. And that's what I'm always trying to do. Look out for those types of threats. I don't really see it in either one of those. But, you know, fun to watch, especially when they having tantrums like that. She summoned the spirits. The warrior spirits right there in the cage. She was about to get knocked out. Girl, her opponent was like putting hands on her. Rayan dos Santos. Putting all kinds of hands on her. I think she felt she lost the first two rounds or was real close. Talking about Dos Santos. Her in her corner said, look, you got to get in and get rid of her. Get rid of her. And boy, she was on her way, wobbly legs and all. Tomar was running for dear life. Looked like she was about to go through that one punch. And that moment is like a viral moment. It's because she looked so hilarious. Oh, God. Journalists going to be asking her to make that face. They're going to be making that face when they see her. You can imagine fans when they see her in the street. Oh, God. Oh, what a night. What a night. Now, Mora was disappointing. I don't think Gomez was that disappointing. She wanted to fight Gomez. But Gomez is like low volume, more of a power hit striker. And there was not much going on, but it's mainly Mora who stunk up the joint. She looked too big for the division. Looked like she gassed out. And she did not look nearly as formidable as a striker. It took no time for Mora to not want to strike. Early in the first round, she started shooting in. She ain't want no parts of Denise striking. That looked bad. And the insistence on grappling, It was like she didn't trust her striking. It was like she didn't trust her striking. It was so much that she was willing to gas herself out, struggling for takedowns, which is what she did. What in the world? How, again, inconsistency. Looked like a different fighter from her last outing. Totally different. Do y'all really tone your game down that much when you feel like you're in against a higher caliber fighter? Why? It seems like girls got a problem doing that. Where they tone the best version of themselves down far too much when they feel like they're in against a formidable opponent. And they do it to the point where they're not the same fighter anymore. Now you in there looking goofy, not just looking like a totally different fighter. So I didn't even recognize the girl in there, the Mora chick. How's that? Gomez wasn't doing that much on the feet. Why were you that terrified of her? I could see going for a takedown. But if you don't get it, hey, back up. Throw an elbow and create some space. You might cut her with the elbow, but don't gas out going for takedowns. I don't understand why fighters do that. After a while, you have to realize, hey, they got pretty good takedown defense. There's 3 rounds. For fighters, if you ask me to get tired after 3 rounds, you're just going 3 rounds, 5 minutes. That's a bad look. Make it look like something ain't right. You ain't doing something right. At the very least, you ain't pacing yourself right. So, hey, good for Denise. Now, Denise got 2 losses, right? I think it's 2 losses now in the UFC. But she's real young. She's young, and she might turn out to be somebody in this division, in the UFC. Dang, she's young, but she got a lot of fights. 24. Yeah, still pretty young. Right, so she lost to Angela Hill. She lost to Loma. 2 strikers primarily, but Angela Hill's not too bad on the ground. And if I'm not mistaken, Loma was putting in work on the ground as well in that fight. So hey, a lot of young fighters still developing. And remember, she knocked out Yasmin Hauriki. Knocked her out early in the first round. So she can knock you out. You better watch out. And she just gave Mora her first loss of her career. That was a bad look. Bad loss. How you gonna lose in that way? Just go in there and kind of get clobbered on the feet. Nothing too crazy. But then you panic wrestle, gas out going for takedowns, and then kind of get, just beaten up on the feet. There was some good scrambles there. Some scrambling and wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I enjoyed that. A lot of crazy stuff going on. But Mora had some moments where she stunk up the joint. Panic wrestling. So, it is what it is. Also, your girl, Montana De La Rosa, she defeated Andrea Lee. And, I really wasn't anticipating this fight. expectations were not high, but I was entertained. And, it felt like Montana, um, she did better than I expected, put it like that. Like, I expected Andrea Lee to win if they struck for a significant period of time. But Lee was losing the striking, I thought. Right? She landed a little spinning back fist. Looked like Montana lost her legs for a moment, but Montana had better hands. She's throwing combinations with more, it looked like more strength, more power. Lee kind of looked like an inferior striker in there. So, I didn't expect that. So, I should have done my homework. And it was fairly entertaining. I think that fight had a lot of decent grappling moments too, right? If I'm not mistaken, had some decent grappling moments. Right? But of course, the highlight was that face. That was the moment right there. You can see she's getting marched down. She's getting marched down, and she she said no. And she stopped running. Like after she threw this punch, she stopped running. She stood there. So it looked like a bully. Her opponent looked like the bully. It looked like she was standing up to the bully. Finally standing up to the bully rather than running. Let me stop running. Let me throw a punch and let me act like I just want to go toe to toe. She, sort of went toe to toe for a few seconds, but it was funny. You put the expression she made, the screaming after getting clobbered. Oh, she looks like she's about to go. And then she said no. Oh, goodness. So, hey, feel like it was money well spent. And I'll leave it there.